Mic check. I just want to sing because everybody in this group can sing except for me. So
I mean, you can
I'll
do a
probably
little
start singing the
something.
entire episode.
I mean,
To
you
the
can do
right
anything
of
you put your
me, I
mind to.
got.
It's your boy Caleb Rashad.
To the left of me, I got.
It's Nisha Michelet. And
I don't
Stacey
sound.
Charlotte.
I don't sound nothing like them. This evening, we want to talk about some things that may make people scratch and think. Some attachment styles. Nisha, break us down what attachment styles are and give us some examples.
All right. So, well, I mean, they're not examples. They're these styles. These styles. There's
I was
four in
hoping there
total.
was other ways to define it.
So basically, attachment styles describe how people behave in relationships, from their desires for closeness and intimacy to their sensitivity to potential relationship threats. So, it's basically how you react in your relationship, like how you attach in your relationships. I feel like that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Give us the top 4 styles.
Well, the 4 styles are secure, disorganized, anxious, and avoidant. So those
Avoidant what?
Hold on, because I feel like I'm getting like multiple.
Avoidant, dismissive, and I think it's important.
Secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Yeah.
Okay, avoidant, dismissive. Okay, and then there's avoidant, fearful. Okay, so I feel like it's just
it's
there's
like
all these different ways of describing, but
subdivisions
there's
of
4 in total. So it's secure, anxious, avoidant, and avoidant, dismissive, and then avoidant, fearful.
And before we even roll out, I want you guys to possibly hit the pause if you can and pull up a link that you can find that's going to tell you your attachment style so that way you can follow along with us.
Yeah, we took a quiz.
we took a quiz.
That quiz made you actually have to think. What'd you
I
think
know
about
it was
the quiz?
actually, well, it was interesting. I was surprised by my results, but I want y'all go first. What'd you get, Kato?
Look at me, I'm like,
Okay, so the quiz that we took it's called the Attachment Project. You can take this quiz at quiz.attachmentproject.com. Is there a book attached to this?
there's several.
I don't think there's books on attachment styles,
Yeah.
but there's not necessarily like a attachment style book, kind of like how we did the love languages, and there's actually a book. There are books that touch on attachment styles as they apply to like romantic relationships and that kind of thing. Usually when people are talking about attachment styles, it is talking about relationships, but it can also apply to like in your family, platonic.
It's also on the clinical side a modality style. It's called attachment-based therapy, and it really just kind of, you know me, I'm gonna go mental health. It really points out like sometimes how childhood experiences have to do with how you have professional or monogamous or personal relationships.
Yeah, it definitely has an impact.
And that's how the
on-
quiz was. The quiz was asking you a lot of questions about, both your parents. They ask you questions about each individual parent, and just how you felt about the way you grew up. Like, did you feel like you got, material items?
Since you owned it, tell us what it was. Boy.
Well, I'm gonna go first.
Yeah,
I was just thinking if it was
first.
attached to a book because don't just take the quiz, like actually read up.
Read
on
up
it.
on it. Do your research.
Yeah. Okay, so we took the quiz, and mine attachment style is
And don't lie.
No, it's secure.
Okay.
I knew it would be secure.
Look how he said it though.
I knew it would be
It's
secure.
I knew it would be secure. Like, girl,
Anything else is beneath me, Coach. Come on.
please. But one of the questions was like, okay, which one was this? Okay, this is one about a parent. Okay, it says, how do you preview the following conditions were met by your mother or caregiver one in earlier childhood? And one of the questions was like, calmed and soothed me effectively when I became distressed, upset, or overwhelmed. And then it gives you like 1 to 7, 1 being very rarely and 7 being very frequently. So it's like questions like that where you're like rating.
Just to give, and it asks you questions like that for your mother, your father, romantic relationships, relationships in general. So like your friendships. And so it really like breaks it down. To be honest, I got nervous because some of the questions, especially when it came to like questions with the parents, like on some ends of the spectrum, like I felt like my answers were gonna reflect like, oh, I'm just like this, I'm damaged goods basically. So I was just like, oh, there's no way I'm getting secure, like just based on like, just based on having to be like, just based on having to be transparent about like, you know, how I felt about like the way I grew up and my relationship statuses with, you know, past, you know, relationships and current relationships. Just, I was like, oh wow, they really gonna, you know, show my bag of tricks at the end of this. But no, I got secure attachment style, and I was very surprised. I actually thought that I was gonna get anxious, avoidant.
Yeah, because it was like when I got my results. When I got my results, I was like, okay, secure. Okay. And it's like, congratulations, having a secure attachment style is great news. Either your needs were adequately met during your formative years, or else you worked hard at your relationships and circumstances to get to where you are emotionally in life.
And that right there, that part of it, when I read that, I was like, oh, okay. So that made me feel like, okay, maybe I actually need to give myself a bit more credit.
Yeah.
And like I have actually come a long way in my healing journey. And I can honestly say that I feel differently. I grew up very sensitive, and I've touched on that before. Very sensitive, kind of passive, didn't know how to advocate for myself, lack of boundaries, like just all these things. So it's making me feel like I have like strongholds on those areas where I felt like were a little bit weak in the past.
It makes me laugh because I guess I'll tell with mine. What
was yours? What was yours?
What you get?
Tigers. I already knew out the gate what mine was. So even when I was taking it, this was me. Don't you know no good? Because I already knew. I got to here.
Girl, no, you didn't.
All right, I'm lying. I got avoidant detached because.
Okay, let's get into that.
Yeah,
I know we're not, but okay, we are. It's really because.
Why you say you knew you would get that?
I've always been that way. And sometimes in my professional or my personal relationships, it's like, so what you got me here for? What do you need me for?
Yeah.
And I used to be like, that's a really good question. But you think about it, like when you think attachment-based therapy, a lot of it is because growing up, I had to pretty much go get it. I had to be the one to be responsible. So you get accustomed to being independent. You get accustomed to going at it alone. And those of you who are watching, where you're liking, subscribing, and sharing and commenting, it's not a bad thing. It's not like we're trying to not let people in. It's just more so like, what's your motive? Why? And whatever you can't do, I could do it. But then oftentimes that could be offensive because you can end up pushing you can end up pushing people away. And then you think about it from a business standpoint, it's like, I can do all this, you know, or, you know, if you want to go biblical, I could do all things through Christ that strengthens me.
Amen.
Yeah. And then you go, but wouldn't it be better if your congregation helped you?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But that comes with, I preached, right? That comes with a point of just having the trust. Sometimes you could be emotionally detached, and I'd be a liar if I told you that was my first time hearing that. Like, are you even present? And this is me. Don't you see me? But so go ahead.
You got the dismissive one? Okay. Got it.
People can hear you.
Yeah, she said yeah.
I'm like, but I am working on it. So when I took it, I kind of already knew what it was going to be. But it also led me to believe that this is why my healing journey was so important. Because you don't want to continue life that way. It's one thing to promote it and be like, yeah, this is who I am. But it's like, ladies, if you're watching, like, I really want some love and happiness. I just don't, you know when you grow up having to do everything, like, some people will come to my house like, I know a woman stays here, and this is me. Hi. Just the way that I am, you know. But I also feel too that this is why this is happening, because it's a part of my growth. Because it's easy to do things by yourself, and sometimes you've been accustomed to doing it, but wouldn't it be doper if you had other people on the board with you?
Yeah.
Don't second hand me.
I mean, I feel what you're saying.
Corner.
I feel what you're saying,
We
though.
understand. Okay, so let's get into some of the characteristics of these attachment styles. So we'll start off with secure, since we both got that.
You know, that's the popular
so
girl.
since we both got that.
Listen, I'm just being honest here. I'll tell you a joke, but I never tell you a lie. All right, so some characteristics for secure attachment styles: warm and caring, trusting and forgiving, good boundaries, manage emotions well, responsive, reciprocal, honest, and open. Would you say?
Just show off already.
So would you consider like having a secure attachment style a blessing and a curse? Because what if you be like a little bit too trusting, a little bit too forgiving, like?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it says it's like
I feel like
the
I
most
kind of deal with
balanced of the attachment styles, but I understand what you're saying as far as like, you know, because I feel like that's like know better, do better. Like when you're in a secure attachment style, you just operate in the know better, do better. Yeah. But in doing that, you also notice how people are like, you know, you notice a lot of people's shortcomings and like you have to give them grace and like because you understand. It's just like, oh, you're acting like this because of this, and it's like, so this really ain't even about me. It's more projection, and you know what I mean. So it's just like
flowing. Let me just.
That'd be me. I'd be like, dang, like sometimes you want to be mad at the person, but it's
how
like,
can you when you know like what's
you
going
know
on?
they not even thinking like.
But see,
it's not even personal.
People are like.
Like I'm not even doing with that.
Yeah.
I'm not even wasting
okay,
my
well,
time.
speaking of avoidant, we'll get into those
characteristics.
We'll get into those characteristics.
Right.
Fear of closeness, distant and withdrawn,
very
conflict avoidant, extreme independence.
Us just reading her down, like.
And it's so crazy because you go, I'm listening to the secure part, and I'm like,
she's like, check.
I don't have not damn one of them traits. I am not warm. I'm not fuzzy. But I ain't cold-hearted all the time.
No, I wouldn't call you
No. I wouldn't say cold-hearted.
Emotionally distant, unresponsive to partner, logical. That's positive.
I'll take logical. I do have my phone on D&D half the time, but I can see when you call, I'll just have to call you back.
Yeah, I did. I can relate to like a lot of these. I feel like I still experience some of these. Like even in feeling pretty balanced. I feel like
spectrum.
Yeah, it's a spectrum. You're not always gonna be like. You know, you literally just had a little moment too. Like you have those moments when you're just in your feelings and like you're in your little funks, and it's like, wow, I'm really.
Just put all the business.
I didn't put all his business. I just said
I like it, though.
He just had a moment where he was in his feelings, and it happens. Yeah, we not always like you know
church rub.
Yeah, it was.
We're not always one note and straight and narrow.
Right.
And then the avoidant people, we're not always cold and blunt. Sometimes like. I give Amanda hugs. Like, Amanda, hug me right now. Open your arms. See? Close them. Bam.
Girl.
But I can feel you trying.
The fact that I had to ask her if she's across the room, that means that's how
you making the effort.
And I also think, too, as you guys are watching and you guys are sharing this and you're probably getting laughs just by laughing with us and at us, because even the follow-through reels have been hilarious to me.
Oh, Lord.
The outtakes. It's some of those things, too, where I know a lot of the things that we're saying are relatable. And I think we talk about the things that most people on certain platforms don't have the courage to talk about, and we tell it ourselves. So have the courage to take this test. It takes a few minutes.
Yes,
but
like the questions kind of, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, they go there
because they go there. Mm-hmm. Same thing when we talked about, what episode was that? When we were talking about different styles, like love
languages.
It's really a moment of reflection where we
can go back and watch that episode.
Yeah, go back and hit that and add that one to your save.
And guys, be honest. I felt like sometimes when it comes to quizzes and stuff, there's a tendency to, just
to rush through it.
To be like, oh, that kind of hit a little bit too close to home, and you're like,
yourself to be rather than where you actually are.
Yeah.
So like
you gotta be realistic. You gotta be realistic.
You hitting it tonight. Baby must have got some breasts because she.
Yes, and I ain't got glasses on today.
That's what it is.
I wonder if that's what it is.
Oh wow.
I'm like, where's her
that's
glasses
crazy.
is missing. I love it. Again, if you guys while you guys are watching it, laugh with us, but hit pause and open up another tab on your Safari, iPhone users, or your Google. And I want you guys to really go back and really just let me take this, but let me take it sincerely.
Yeah,
we're gonna link it in the if you're watching this on YouTube, we're gonna link it in the description. And if you are listening, I will read the link back to you. It is quiz.attachmentproject.com.
Boom. Super easy.
You could just Google attachment project. Group of pioneers, because I would have never thought to say, hey, we're going to link it to the.
Yeah, because she be acting like we're on radio. Tune in to 99.7. Right.
If you're just tuning in, I'm like, girl, this is not live, girl.
See, they come for me. This is why I have the style that I have.
She thinks we're like, you're turning the dial to our radio station. It's a streaming podcast, gonna be digital.
Amanda, why you let them come for me?
It's a streaming podcast.
I was like, so y'all could just find it on the internet. Oh, that was funny.
All right. So I'm gonna get into the rest of the characteristics for the remaining attachment styles. Okay. All right. So this is anxious. This is the one I expected myself to get. Relationship insecurities, fear of abandonment, lack boundaries, mood fluctuation, highly sensitive, and overly accommodating. Those are the characteristics of the anxious attachment style. And then disorganized attachment style is unable to self-regulate, find intimacy and trust difficult, tendency to dissociate, lack of empathy, wants closeness but fearful of others. So, if we're reading through these and some of these characteristics are kind of like jumping up at you, they sound a little familiar. Or they like striking a little nerve. I would encourage you, take that quiz, and then, knowledge is power. Once you have an idea of like what it is you're going through. I know that helped me. Once I was able to put a name to my pain.
That's it.
It just helped me.
2 snaps for that.
Y'all gassing me up tonight.
We can see you now. I'm like, I can't believe it.
Put a name on the pain.
Put a name on the pain. Put a name on the pain. Put a name on the pain.
Y'all don't understand. She really is on a roll tonight, and I love it because we got to add that somewhere. It's like a hashtag.
Okay. That could be a little catchphrase.
Name your pain.
Name your pain.
I like that. I like it. Oh, the other part that I really, I just love this team. The other part I want us to look at too while you're doing it, have the moments where emotionally, clinically, and mental health wise, you can process, because it's probably going to ask some questions about your caregivers or your parents or the people who cared for you. And if you're watching this, I want you to be okay with accepting the fact that every person was raised differently. And even if your caregiver wasn't there, I don't want them to be the reason why you love the way you do, because there can be a season and opportunity to change.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to.
You don't
end
have to be
way.
That way.
And let's say you feel, if you feel, like solid, you feel well balanced. It could, do like for you, like it did for me, and just kind of enlighten you on where you're at in your journey. Maybe you are currently in the midst of your healing journey, and you want to see if you've been able to actually, put these things into action. So it was
hurt to do a little self-reflecting.
Exactly. It was very affirming for me. Like, wow, like it made me feel like I'm on the right path. So.
And if you are seeking therapy for this, the style of this is called attachment-based therapy. And the way that they do it, a therapist can look at the connection from like infancy to usually like with parents or caregivers. And that sometimes dictates and the type of developmental relationships you have. Were they early on? Were they healthy? Did they have healthy emotional boundaries? Were there physical relationships as an adult that could have gotten better? So sometimes yesterday, attachment-based therapy will say that it can dictate tomorrow, but it doesn't mean it has to be that way on a regular basis. Right. I also think too, just because of the styles that a computer says, that doesn't mean that you could just stay that way and be like, well, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I know we make jokes about different things, but I never want people just to go, I'm dismissive, so that's just who I am. You have to be okay with that. I think it's okay to rub elbows with other people who have experienced love, who have experienced safe and secure parental childhood attachments, to where you could be like, Caleb, teach me what it was like to have a two parents in the household, which is very rare, especially in our culture, right?
Yeah.
I grew up single family with my grandmother, but you grew up with your mom. But that doesn't mean that it has to be negative. So again, if you guys are watching, don't be afraid to embrace change. Don't be afraid to open up a book or open up a podcast and see how you can embrace change, because just because of your outcome says this is how you are doesn't mean that you have to stay that way. And just because y'all are secure don't mean that y'all don't have y'all's issues.
Right, that's what I said. It's definitely
I'll be
fluctuates.
the first to tell you, look, I told you I was pleasantly surprised, right? Because I did not expect to get that.
So again, we're not on the radio, so they're going to attach a link. Don't laugh at me, team. Attach a link so that way y'all can take it too.
Yeah, and let us know what your attachment styles are in the comments.
Give us some takeaways, honey.
Some takeaways. Attachment styles. I really learned a lot about attachment styles
in this process.
In this process, because I didn't really know what that meant until I took the quiz and was reading the questions. I was like, oh, so a lot of how I grew up, it makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of how you form bonds is dependent upon the way you were brought up.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that correlation. Yeah.
At least you're honest, though.
Yeah. That's crazy. That must have been like super eye opening for sure.
Yeah. I was like,
oh wow, that does
sense.
affect that.
It's like that mean like, oh.
What's that girl on the left?
I don't know her name.
Sabrina or something?
I don't know. It is Sabrina something.
Yeah.
Give us your takeaway.
I think my takeaway is gonna be in self-awareness. Don't use self-awareness as a reason to just say, okay, now that I know this about myself, this is clearly the way I am, and that's that. Don't use it as
or like weaponizing.
Yeah, don't use it as a way to like stay like, well, that's just the way that I am. Like, facts. No, like that's an opportunity to change, to grow for the better. So always use self-awareness as a tool of evolution and not a reason to stay the same.
2 snaps. Ooh. She's on a roll. Okay.
Y'all are doing the most.
Takeaway. Neat turn.
I don't know what to say after that sermon.
Right. Mic drop.
Takeaway. Just take away from the fact that yesterday happened, and some things are out of our control. I don't think parenting really.
Girl, I was like, what happened yesterday?
Stupid. I don't think that parenting comes with a manuscript or manual to say this is how you should raise Charlie. It's like, hey, Charlie's here. Step 1. And you like, oh, YouTube. Oh, even the people on YouTube have to figure it out. So I say all that to say is don't be afraid to evolve. Don't be afraid to change. And then if you know that some of your styles need developing and need some polishing, embrace change and open yourself up to change. Don't, like Nisha said, Minister Nisha said, just
Prophetess Nisha.
Wow. Don't just stay that way. Have an awareness and say, maybe it's me, but also I can say in conclusion, don't be afraid to take some time to heal and to process. So that way you're not making certain patterns repetitive and you're not repeating certain things and maintaining this avoidant or this dismissive or poor boundary stage. So again, I am Coach Nita. I would say Nisha, but this is Prophet. This is Mother Nisha tonight.
Mother.
Heidi K.
And then this is
Caleb Rashad.
And we are MC, aka Mind Control, and we are out.
Bye.